Good morning, sisters and brothers. Each day that God gives us is a new gift. Let us always be graciously thankful and give God praise every moment that we can. We begin as we begin and end all things in life. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. This is an email from Friday, September 6th, 2002 at 1:38 p.m. And the subject is Let the Sun Shine In. He was driving home one evening on a 2-lane country road. Work in this small Midwestern community was almost as slow as his beat-up Pontiac. But he never quit looking. Ever since the factory closed, he'd been unemployed. And with winter racing on, the chill had finally hit home. It was a lonely road. Not very many people had reason to be on it, unless they were leaving. Most of his friends had already left. They had families to feed and dreams to fulfill, but he stayed on. After all, this was where he buried his mother and father. He was born here and knew the country. He could go down this road blind and tell you what was on either side. And with his headlights not working, that came in handy. It was getting dark and light snow flurries were coming down. He'd better get a move on. You know, he almost didn't see the old lady stranded on the side of the road. But even in the dim light of day, he could see she needed help. So he pulled up in front of her Mercedes and got out. His Pontiac was still sputtering when he approached her. Even with the smile on his face, she was worried. No one had stopped to help her for the last hour or so. Was he going to hurt her? He didn't look safe. He looked poor and hungry. He could see that she was frightened, standing out there in the cold. He knew how she felt. It was that chill that only fear can put in you. He said, "I am here to help you, ma'am." "Why don't you wait in the car where it's warm? By the way, my name is Joe." Well, all she had was a flat tire. But for an old lady, that was bad enough. Joe crawled under the car looking for a place to put the jack, skinning his knuckles a time or two. Soon he was able to change the tire. As he was tightening up the lug nuts, she rolled down her window and began to talk to him. She told him that she was from St. Louis and was only passing through. She couldn't thank him enough for stopping to help her. Joe just smiled as he closed the trunk. She asked him how much she owed him. Any amount would have been okay with her. She had already imagined all the awful things that could have happened had he not stopped. Joe never thought twice about the money. This was not a job to him. This was helping someone in need, and God knows there were plenty who had given him a hand in the past. He had lived his whole life that way, and it never occurred to him to act any other way. He told her if she really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, she could give that person the assistance they needed. And Joe added, "And think of me." He waited until she started the car and drove off. It had been a cold and depressing day, but he felt good as he headed home, disappearing into the twilight. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe and went in to grab a bite to eat before making the last leg of her trip home. It was a dingy-looking restaurant. Outside there were 2 old gas pumps. The whole scene was unfamiliar to her. The cash register was like the telephone of an out-of-work actor. It didn't ring much. Her waitress came over and brought a clean towel to wipe her hair. She had a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet the whole day couldn't erase. Then the lady noticed the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but never let the strain and aches change her attitude. The lady wondered how someone who had so little could be so giving to a stranger. Then she remembered Joe. After finishing her meal, the waitress went to get her change from a $100 bill. The lady slipped right out the door. She was gone by the time the waitress came back. She wondered where the lady could be. Then she noticed something written on a napkin. "You don't owe me a thing. I've been there too. Someone once helped me out the way I'm helping you." Well, there were tables to clear, sugar bowls to fill, and people to serve. But the waitress made it through another day. That night, when she got home from work and climbed into bed, she was thinking how could the lady have known how much she and her husband needed that money. With the baby due next month, it was going to be hard. She knew how worried her husband was. And as he lay sleeping next to her, she gave him a kiss and whispered softly, "Everything's going to be all right. I love you, Joe." A reading from 1 Timothy 6:17 through 19. The heading is Right Use of Riches. Instruct those who are rich in this world's goods that they should not be proud, nor should they trust in the uncertainty of riches, but rather in God, who richly provides us with everything we need for our enjoyment. Tell them to do good and to be rich in good works, to be generous in giving and ready to share. In this way they will acquire the treasure of a good foundation for the future, so that they will be able to grasp the life that is true life. My sisters and brothers, it's not always about how much we put in the collection basket every Sunday. It's about stopping along the road of life and helping out someone in need, helping them get back on their journey on the way home. God bless everyone. May the peace of Christ that surpasses all understanding be with you and your families. May there be peace on earth. And with God's help, may we meet again tomorrow.